Est-ce que tu sens mon souffle sur ta peau?
You end the album beautifully with Gaia. Tell me why you chose to end it that way, and then tell me a little bit about Gaia.
Right. Okay, so I'd fallen in love with one of the most incredible jazz bands in the world called Snarky Puppy.
Snarky Puppy.
Noted. Snarky Puppy. And I went to see them and my jaw hit the floor, and I befriended a couple of the guys in the band, Michael League and Bill Lawrence, who's an incredible keyboard player. And, you know, I followed them around whenever I could. And Bill and I bumped into him all over the world. And I'd always loved his way of playing. And I'd always thought that if I was a practicing musician, which I'm not, you know, it's not, I can never get up and jam. Can't do it. Don't know I play by ear. You know, I'm useless in that regard. I actually, you know, I play to write.
Yeah.
That's how I work.
You're not useless. It's just not your style.
It's just not my thing. And
maybe you should try it more.
No.
Okay.
No, because you know, if I know what I'm doing half the time, I lose the magic of it.
Okay.
So that's fair. My
that's
perspective.
Part of your process.
That is absolutely part of my process.
That makes sense.
But Bill had an album out. Bill Lawrence had an album out called Cables, and I fell in love with it. I really, really fell in love with it. And there was one track that I kept hearing in a completely different way. And I kept hearing France, I kept hearing Paris, I kept hearing a French woman's voice, but more on the sort of radio or TV show from 30s, 40s or 50s, that kind of little grainy, little rustly, little radio frequency noise, that kind of stuff. Anyway, Bill came over and we started to work on a few ideas, and which didn't turn up on this album, but the new ideas, but there'll be something somewhere someday. They just need time to. I need time to work on them, but
they'll find their place.
Yes. So I said to Bill, I said, listen, you know, this is your title track, Cables. I said, I hear it in a different way, and I tried to explain it to him, and he didn't quite get it. And I'm going, how can you not get it? You're one of the best jazz pianists and great songwriter too. And I said, listen, just play it on the little upright on the piano, and I'll try and sing it. You know what the vibe. He goes, okay, I get it now. I said, so just record the whole song. I'm probably going to chop it up to bits and rearrange it and do so. And I did that. So I put an arrangement together, and rather unusual, but it kind of weirdly worked. And months and months and months and months had moved on, and I was scrolling through social media, and I hear a voice, and I say, that's her. That's the voice in my head. And so I wrote to her, and I said, listen, you know, there's this idea. Can I send you the piano track and tell you what the concept is? And maybe... I found out she lived 20 minutes away from me. It was insane. Oh,
wow.
I mean, that's just...
Again, very serendipitous.
Yeah. It's the organic flow again. So I sent her the track and told her roughly what it was about. And, you know, it's this conversation between Mother Earth and humanity, really, disguised as a love song, really. That was the rough concept. The next day, she sends me back the spoken word over, you know, on an iPhone in front of some speakers, and it sounded like an old radio, and I went, you know, goosebumps. And so I immediately cut the original piano out and threw her iPhone version at the beginning of the song, which is what you hear. And then she said, do you mind if I try and write some other melodies and some other parts? And I said, no, of course not. And she came back with the chorus, and I said, not in a million years would I have thought of that melody, or the way that flows. It's French beyond French. It's just a certain style and a rhythm that she particularly had. And then the other thing was, of course, I on the bridge section, I'd always, when I kind of put that together, I always imagined Paul Buchanan from the Blue Nile would sing that. And I got in touch. In fact, he was one of the people that we got in touch with every few months over the pandemic. Just, how are you?
Hey,
are you okay?
Touch and base.
All of that, and he was in Scotland, and it's always, I won't say it's always quite gloomy there, but it's quite grey. And I said, listen, Paul, do you? He and I, by the way, wrote one of my favourite songs that I've written with somebody, which was called "The Other Side of Town," and that was on the album "Help Yourself." Anyway, it's still dear to my heart. So I went back to him and I said, "Listen, do you want to write some parts for this? Write some lyrics?" And he said, "Listen, I'm really not in the headspace." He was not a happy boy at the time. So I said, "Okay, listen. How about you sing it? Just sing it." He said, "Jules, all the studios have closed down. There's nowhere for me to go." And after the experience with Elisa, the female singer,
Did you suggest an iPhone?
I said, "Listen, you got an iPhone, right? You got headphones?" I said, "I'll sing this part, and then you just copy it, sing it 6 times on an iPhone, and send it to me." So he did that. I edited it all together, re-EQ'd it, and it sounded like he was in the room.
Was this fun for you, by the way, that process
Oh,
of like kind of getting something from another technology?
Yes, I thought, okay, this might work, but I'd heard stories, so
yeah.
so I tried it, and it was magic.
Yeah,
it was
you get to Frankenstein it all together.
You think he was in the studio with me, and
magic,
and it was fantastic. So,
how do you feel about Gaia? Like now that you've heard the album, when you hear how it ends, do you feel complete?
Yeah, no. Funnily enough, there was only 10 tracks on the album, but I didn't want the album to fit. I didn't want to change the sequence, but I didn't want "Stay" to be the last thing, because I felt it was even though it was quite helpful at the end, it just was not. Yeah, and I'd had this thing again organically with the number 11. I kept seeing 11 everywhere for years, at least, especially the last year, and I thought, no, it's got to be another song on there.
It's got to be 11.
So Gaia came to fruition, and that became song number 11, and it was the way out the door. It was the end of the album.
There you go, the story of Jude, which is magnificent, by the way.
Ici et là.